You're watching 2 News Works for You in high definition.
Well, this is obviously an incredibly devastating event. It's our worst nightmare.
Sadness in Stillwater. Oklahoma State University is mourning the loss of 2 women's basketball coaches in a plane crash. I'm Carol Morrison.
And I'm Russ McCaskey. Thanks for joining us. OSU players and fans, as you might imagine, are in shock after 2 coaches and 2 longtime donors were killed in a plane crash. The crash happened around 4:30 yesterday afternoon, about 45 miles northwest of Little Rock. Women's head basketball coach Kurt Budke and assistant coach Miranda Serna were on a recruiting trip.
Longtime OSU donor and former state senator Olin Branstetter was the pilot. His wife Paula, also a pilot, was on board too. We have team coverage from the crash site and in Stillwater. We begin with 2 News reporter Jason Grubbs, who is live near Perryville, Arkansas. Jason.
Karen, we should be learning more about this crash here in a few moments. NTSB investigators just came out from the crash site. They've been there since about 2:30 this afternoon. They are working in some very difficult conditions. We're in the Ouachita Mountains, and it is covered with heavily wooded areas, cliffs, rocks. In fact, as far as you can drive in, they've got to hike another quarter of a mile. Nearly 24 hours after the crash, NTSB investigators arrive on the scene. Behind them, the coroner's office. Getting to the site is a challenge.
The terrain's pretty rough. It's on the side of a hill. It's kind of rocky in that area a little bit, so it's pretty rough to get in there and investigate.
Perry County Sheriff Scott Montgomery says there is very little information about what happened.
The last traffic that they had with the pilot was he did a weather check through Little Rock.
A hunter a couple of miles off heard the plane having engine trouble, then saw it spiral out of control before crashing. He called 911 and gave his GPS coordinates.
Between their GPS coordination and Arkansas State Police helicopter, they finally found a crash about an hour and a half later.
And there are still lots of questions at this hour. We should find more answers here in just a few minutes. Jason Grubbs reporting live from Perryville, Arkansas. Back to you.
All right, Jason, thanks. Certainly it was a difficult day in Stillwater. School leaders worked to comfort players and students. 2 News reporter Casey Roebuck spent the day on campus.
Leaders of this university describe both of these coaches as mentors to their students and friends to them. Tonight, they're trying to find a way to deal with their own grief while they comfort the players and students as well.
It's a family around here, and you can really get that close, and you kind of have the highs and the lows that every family experiences, so it really binds you together. So when you lose somebody, or in this case 2, I think it may be worse than it's the worst thing I can think of.
As word of the tragedy spread across the OSU campus, students gathered at the arena to pay their respects to Coach Kurt Budke and assistant coach Miranda Serna. Their loss to the program, the school, and the team are so profound, it's tough for those who were close to them to even put the loss into words.
I hope I can be the type coach he was and the type father and husband he was. He's somebody to look up to, no question. And I just, very selfishly, I'm going to miss being able to pick up the phone and call him. He was very good to me, very good.
A memorial banner is on display in the East Lobby for students and fans to sign. It will be there for at least the next week. The university is also working on putting together a memorial service for the victims, and they hope to hold that on Monday. Reporting tonight from Stillwater, Casey Roebuck, 2 News Works for You.
Casey, thanks. Now, the Cowgirls were scheduled to play Grambling University tomorrow. That game has been canceled, but the visiting team went to the arena today to pay their respects. Very classy move. They left flowers at the memorial and said a prayer to honor the victims.
Now, the loss is being felt all over the university. 2 News reporter Brianne Palmerini spoke with students.
Here at the Student Union, grief counselors have been available throughout the day. Students I've talked to say they're simply shocked.
Whether you know them or don't know them, it affects you.
It shakes us all.
As soon as word of the tragedy reached OSU's counseling staff, they moved into action, setting up a table inside the Student Union. They have pamphlets and tissues available for students passing through.
I imagine a lot of people will be having reactions both from this tragedy, but also this sort of event can stir up other grief reactions that people have had.
Many students are associating this tragedy to the plane crash that rocked Oklahoma State University 10 years ago. In January 2001, 10 men associated with the OSU men's basketball team died in a Colorado plane crash.
This happened 10 years ago, and remember watching that, but now being actually involved.
OSU's counseling staff has been able to expand their services in the wake of that tragedy.
Grief counseling is one of the things that we emphasize because of the tragedy that happened 10 years ago.
Students say this is something that will continue to be on their hearts and minds, but they're looking to find a silver lining.
There's a buzz about it, and I think that's good because people will appreciate the people who they love and who are around them now.
Counselors say they will continue to be available if students need their services. In Stillwater, Brianne Palmerini, 2 News works for you.
Now, the pilot in the crash, former state senator Olin Brandstetter and his wife Paula, were longtime OSU supporters. The two met as students at OSU in the 1950s. Both were experienced pilots. In fact, the couple and their son Jack set a world record for becoming the first family to fly over the North Pole in a single-engine aircraft. There's an aviation scholarship at OSU in Paula's name. It was established by her husband back in 2001. Now, as we mentioned, this isn't the first time that OSU's had to deal with a tragedy like this.
2 News Sports Director Big Al Jerkin spoke with former OSU coach Eddie Sutton. Al?
Well, guys, the OSU family's still trying to get over what happened almost 11 years ago, and now another tragedy. It was 10 years and 10 months ago. Then OSU coach Eddie Sutton was dealing with losing 10 friends and trying to help others cope with the handling of such a terrible occurrence. Sutton thought one tragedy was enough at Oklahoma State, now a second at the same university. The loss of Kurt Butke, assistant coach Miranda Cerna, and the pilot and his wife.
But I was just shocked and just, Coach Butke was a dear friend, good coach, but a great person, and it'll take a while for all of them to get over this. I mean, it has all of us that were a part of that first airplane crash.
Now, Sutton says that he's already talked to folks in the early stages of recovery at OSU and knows the process will be a long one.
But I've talked to a lot of people all day long, and we all know accidents happen. But hopefully, after what we went through 10 years ago, the counselors and everybody at OSU will have a better way to maybe help the players and the coaches that are left.
Now, Sutton says OSU already has the proper steps in place to help cope with this tragedy. Guys?
Thank you, Al. In a few minutes, we're going to be checking in with 2 News sports reporter Jason Shackelford. He's with the Cowboys football team as they get ready to play Iowa State tonight. We will have much more on the OSU tragedy tonight on 2 News at 6 and 10, as well as on KGRH.com for you. Now, we have posted pictures and video, plus a look back at what happened in January of 2001.
Now, 2 Works for You weather's first forecast.
Weather-wise for today, it was a very windy day across Green Country. Temperatures were warmer than yesterday. Winds across the area. These are the current wind gusts, up around 33 miles per hour in the Tulsa area. But this afternoon, the winds were even stronger. 4 acres in northern Osage County. The wind gust there was at 46. Nowata saw a wind gust of 39, and here in Tulsa, the highest wind gust I have seen has been 45 miles per hour. Out there for this evening, we're going to have fair skies and still windy for this evening if you're stepping out on a Friday night. By 10 o'clock, 58. We'll talk about the winds over the weekend. The rain chances. We'll also look at the Thanksgiving forecast. That's coming up.
All right, thanks, Dan. Calling the Secret Service. More on the presidential hopeful who is asking for protection.
Plus, the body found in a Tulsa retention pond is identified who police have linked the remains to.
The remains found in an SUV at the bottom of a Tulsa retention pond are identified tonight. Investigators say it's Sheila Sharp, who's been missing since 2006. Last month, the dog and their owner recovered a shoe with a human foot inside. Police drained the pond and found an SUV that matched the description of Sharp's vehicle with human remains inside. Police believe that she was murdered and continue to investigate.
New on 2, Tulsa police need your help tracking down a bank robber. The holdup happened just before noon at the Bank of America near 48th and South Peoria. Detectives say that a man walked into the bank, implied he had a gun, and made off with some cash. Less than an hour ago, detectives released a picture of 51-year-old Ronald McAllister. He's being called a person of interest. If you have any information, contact Crime Stoppers. That number's on your screen, 918-596-COPS.
Online shopping is a great way to try and avoid those large crowds and long lines.
But there is a problem keeping many people from trying it: the lingering fear of shopping online and how you can get around it. One of the days this weekend will be very warm. The other one will be very chilly. We'll break it down. We'll talk about that windy weather and look ahead at your Thanksgiving coming up in Works For You Weather. Several OSU athletic events are canceled this weekend following the deadly plane crash. The Cowboy football team, however, with heavy hearts, will still play their game tonight against Iowa State. 2 News sports reporter Jason Shackelford has more.
Thank you and welcome to Ames, Iowa, just outside of Jack Trice Stadium, where Oklahoma State will take on Iowa State tonight at 7 o'clock. And oh, how the mood of this game has changed in the last 10 hours. The Oklahoma State players awoke this morning to the tragic news of this accident. Now, typically in a situation like this, a football team would wear a small decal on the back of the helmet honoring those that passed. Oklahoma State officials telling us today that they just won't have time to get those decals produced and shipped up here to Ames, Iowa for the game. Now, the Iowa State officials I spoke to said the 2 programs are working closely on some sort of tribute before the game, but they have yet to finalize plans for that. Oklahoma State officials will not speak about this tragedy until after the game is over. We will continue to follow it, and we will have the very latest for you as it becomes available. Reporting from Ames, Iowa, Jason Shackelford, 2 News Works For You.
All right, Shaq, thanks. We will be watching, and we'll have more from Ames coming up tonight on 2 News at 6.
The Secret Service confirms that GOP presidential candidate Herman Cain will be protected by the agency. 2 News political correspondent Tori Donan joins us live in Washington. Now, Tori, what do we know about why Cain is now under protection?
Karen, sources inside the government tell us that Cain's campaign initially asked for this type of protection because of an unspecified number of threats. Herman Cain talked about it today.
It's just that it was time because of the popularity of my campaign. The thing about Secret Service is that things are secret. So we don't discuss any details about it because that would not be appropriate.
So, Karen, a little bit vague there, but this isn't the first time this has happened, because you might remember when Barack Obama was running for president, he was granted that type of protection for 18 months leading up to the general election.
That's right. Now, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi and GOP presidential candidate Rick Perry engaged in a war of words, and Pelosi is really taking aim at the Texas governor.
It's getting pretty ugly between these two. We've got to go back in time to describe this whole thing. Let's go back to Rick Perry's infamous oops moment, and then I'll take it from there.
Commerce, education, and the, what's the third one there? Let's see.
You've got to be wondering, what does Nancy Pelosi have to do with all of this? Well, Rick Perry decided to challenge her to a debate, which would take place on Monday here in Washington, D.C. He wanted to debate his new plan, which would overhaul Washington, and this was her response.
Monday, I'm going to be in Portland in the morning. I'm going to be visiting some of our labs in California in the afternoon. That's 2. I can't remember what the third thing is I'm going to be doing.
Evidently, Rick Perry didn't find that to be so funny because he tweeted this, something Nancy Pelosi would like to forget, passing a 2,000-page government takeover of healthcare without reading it.
Ooh, tough words back. All right, thanks, Trey. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Now, keeping you and your family safe. This is 2 Works For You weather, certified most accurate.
As we focus on Stillwater tonight, let me show you a time lapse. During the day today, they did see just a few passing clouds over the weekend. It will be dry in Stillwater. There is a slight chance for a few isolated showers on Sunday, but most of the weekend will be dry there. Here's a look at the front that's up to our northwest on Viper 2 HD. This front is part of the big weekend wind maker that will have an impact on us. On Saturday, look for those winds to be just as strong, if not stronger, than what we dealt with for today. Now on Sunday, this front will pass through the area. The winds are going to snap around to the north, and it's going to bring much cooler air into green country. We're at 58 right now, and those south winds are still howling out there. The temperatures, though, today were certainly warmer than what we saw yesterday, in the low 60s and upper 50s during the day. And for tonight, very, very windy. Often, once the sun goes down, the winds start to die down, but the pressure gradient is still very tight out there. So it'll be windy night, and that'll provide us with more low-level moisture. That'll hold the temperatures up, and those south winds will be around all day long on Saturday. So if you had planned on raking leaves, find another plan.
The winds will be just ferocious out there. Winds up around 20 to 35 miles per hour on Saturday. That, of course, will increase our fire danger. What about rain on Saturday? The chances are very, very low. Futurecast is breaking out a little bit of rain across extreme northeastern Oklahoma, but a higher chance comes in for the overnight hours and into Sunday. Sunday, the better chance of rain would be across eastern and extreme southeastern Oklahoma. But that, again, we're going to be very, very isolated. Southeast Oklahoma has the best chance for rain. Most areas will be dry, but it will be turning much, much cooler. For the Tulsa Hurricane playing in El Paso, 67 degrees at kickoff, and for our Sooners are playing in Waco, 72 degrees. It's going to be breezy but dry. 50s overnight tonight, so again a very warm night tonight, and also extremely windy across the area. For the afternoon, I'm forecasting temperature up to 73, so a lot warmer for tomorrow, but it will be humid, and we will see an increase in the cloud cover by afternoon, with those southwest winds being the big story at 20 to 35 miles per hour. Okmulgee at 72. Pryor, I'm forecasting 71. It will be very windy during the afternoon. Tahlequah at 70, and again, that low chance for a very isolated shower late Saturday night across extreme northeastern Oklahoma, and then for Saturday night into Sunday for southeastern Oklahoma. Here's the 7-day, and you can see these very warm temperatures abruptly change, almost 20 degrees colder on Sunday, higher chances of rain Monday and Tuesday, chance for some isolated strong to severe thunderstorms both Monday and Tuesday, moves out for Tuesday evening, and then Wednesday is a huge travel day. Right now across most of the Central Plains it's going to be very quiet with the temperature at 62 degrees, and then on Thanksgiving Day it looks fantastic for getting outside and shopping, 65, and then on Friday, Black Friday, a 20% chance for an isolated shower, and the temperature is turning just a little bit cooler. So we are looking at windy weather, but dry weather for Saturday, and then Sunday a low chance for an isolated shower.
All right, well, those timing on those weather, the rain coming in looks pretty good before the holiday.
Monday and Tuesday, then it's out of here.
And 72 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be
we'll
amazing out there.
Sounds good. All right, Dan, thanks. Well, a recent survey finds 3/4 of those surveyed plan to do at least some of their holiday shopping online. At the same time, more than a third say they're afraid of having their identity stolen during the holiday shopping season. 2 News problem solver Pete Knutson offers ways to keep from becoming a victim.
As you hit the stores this holiday season, here are a few good ideas to keep in mind to help make sure crooks don't steal your good name and your credit. TransUnion says when shopping, only carry essential documents, only your ID and the cards you intend to use. When shopping online, only do business with websites that have security measures to protect you. Look for a URL that begins with HTTPS and the emblem of a lock, usually next to the address bar. Before you surf the web on Cyber Monday, consider changing your account passwords and keep a list of them in a secure place. Passwords and PINs should be a random mix of letters, numbers, and special characters. TransUnion says the holidays mean a lot of extra trash. Be sure to shred everything that contains personal information before throwing it out. Keep a close eye on your credit card bills. That can help you catch any incorrect charges, but it can also make you more aware of how much you're spending and help you stay within your budget. And monitor your credit. Remember, you can do so for free at annualcreditreport.com. While these tips are especially important during the holidays, TransUnion says they're useful year-round. Pete Knutson, 2 News works for you.
Pete, thanks. And speaking of holiday shopping, log on to KJRH.com or download the KJRH.com app on your smartphone to check out some of the best Black Friday shopping deals. Well, from the White House to the Smithsonian.
The inside look, you can get into the lives of some of the country's most famous first ladies.
Here's what we're working on new tonight for 6 o'clock.
This is a really special homecoming for me. So yeah, it's good to be back.
Families welcome home more than 100 members of the Tulsa Air National Guard today. Find out what surprise was waiting for one of them.
So good to see them home. Tonight on Channel 2 Primetime, watch Wheel of Fortune spin at 6:30. Chuck airs at 7 o'clock, followed by Grimm and Dateline NBC. Then stay tuned to 2 News at 10. We'll have more on the OSU crash. Well, the First Lady's collection is back at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History.
The new exhibition features 26 gowns, including those worn by Francis Cleveland, Lou Hoover, Jacqueline Kennedy, Laura Bush, and Michelle Obama. The exhibit has 160 other items that include portraits, personal possessions, and White House china. Also a section called Changing Times, Changing First Ladies that highlights the roles played by women. The exhibit opens to the public tomorrow.
Popular exhibit and a popular forecast with tomorrow's temperature.
That's right. Temperatures tomorrow will be warmer than today. Thanksgiving Day also looking very, very quiet. 40 degrees in the morning, not as windy as today, and by afternoon our temperatures climb up into the mid-60s. The 7-day shows the rain chances increasing on Sunday. Best chance of rain still Monday and Tuesday, but that travel day before Thanksgiving looking spectacular.
Oh, I can't beat that. All right, Dan, thanks. Thank you for joining us tonight.
2 News works for you on air, online, and on your mobile. Get connected, stay connected.